Today's lesson is Barcelona, Ancient and Modern in Perfect Harmony. Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Helen.
And this is our travel unit continuing in the month of September. We're going to Barcelona, Spain. And it's got lots of ancient things there, but it's also a modern, thriving European city. And it has lots of surprises in store for travelers. Last time we talked about some of the things you can check out in Barcelona. We talked about the Barcelona Cathedral. It was built on the ruins of a 4th century church. And nearby, of course, we've got La Rambla, which is a famous landmark in Barcelona. It's a street where you can walk along, and it's got all sorts of things there, museums, theaters, markets, and squares full of street performers.
Yes, and there are so many other things to do in Barcelona aside from walking down La Rambla and visiting the Barcelona Cathedral, because Barcelona is also famous for being the city where you can see a lot of buildings, unusual structures, built by one of Spain's most beloved and famous architects. And that architect is named Antoni Gaudí.
Okay, and that's who we're going to talk about in our lesson for today. So let's get to it. Let's listen to the first part of our lesson, and we'll be right back.
Whether you love architecture or not, Antoni Gaudí's many masterpieces are truly a sight to behold. Gaudí is known as the father of Barcelona's modernist architectural style, and his most famous projects are all within the city limits. Park Güell shows off his talent for outdoor design, while Casa Mila, though planned as a residence, became a work of art that hosts concerts, art exhibitions, and more.
大家好，第一部分我们来介绍名词 masterpiece， 它的意思是杰作或名著，作家或画家等的代表作、典范。例如Beethoven's Symphony No. 5 is considered his greatest masterpiece. 贝多芬的第5号交响曲被认为是他最伟大的杰作。又或者说 The author's latest book was a masterpiece that took him 10 years to complete. 那位作家的新书是一个花了他10年时间才完成的杰作。再来，我们看到形容词 modernist， 这个单字的意思是现代主义的。例如The gallery is hosting an exhibition of modernist art. 这家艺廊正在举办一个现代主义艺术的展览。或是 Jenny studied modernist literature in college. Jenny 在大学研读现代主义文学。另外，这个字也可以直接当作名词使用，它有现代主义者的意思。例如 Some modernists consider themselves as challengers against traditional aesthetics.一些现代主义者认为他们自己是传统美学的挑战者。又或者说 The building was praised by many modernists at that time. 这栋建筑在当时受到许多现代主义者的推崇。
Whether you love architecture or not, Antoni Gaudí's many masterpieces are truly a sight to behold. So before going to Barcelona, you might say to yourself, I'm not really interested in visiting Gaudí's buildings because I'm not really interested in architecture. Architecture, of course, refers to the study or the practice of designing buildings. It could also refer to the designs of the buildings themselves. And some people love architecture. They love looking at various styles of buildings and structures. Other people don't. And here we're saying that regardless of whether you like architecture or not, you will be impressed by Antoni Gaudí's many masterpieces. So here, masterpiece refers to the best work of a particular artist or writer or musician. Some people consider architects artists as well. Antoni Gaudí's creations are definitely considered works of art, and whether you like architecture or not, you will be impressed by his work.
And I should mention here again, as I've probably said many times, the word architecture refers to that science or the style of buildings, not the buildings themselves. So don't say, oh, I like that architecture over there if you're referring to a building. That would be incorrect. But it would be correct if you're referring to the actual style of that building. That would be correct. So in this particular case, you may love architecture, you may not, but still Antoni Gaudí has lots of masterpieces. And, of course, they're worth checking out. A masterpiece, of course, is a great work of art from a particular artist. Like Beethoven's Fifth Symphony is a masterpiece. So it could be any kind of work of art, a painting, or a building, or a work of music, or something like that. And if something is beholded, that means you look at it and you really admire it. So it's a sight to behold. It's just something you're going to stop and look at and go, wow, that is so cool. I'm going to keep looking at it for many minutes.
Yes, the word behold is often used in literature. You don't really hear it in conversation that much, but it's a word that means basically to look at or to see something. Now, Gaudí is known as the father of Barcelona's modernist architectural style, and his most famous projects are all within the city limits. So Gaudí is a very famous architect, and he is considered the father or the inventor of Barcelona's modernist architectural style. This is a particular architectural style that was developed in the early 20th century, and a lot of his creations can be seen within the city limits. So when you talk about the city limits, you're referring to everything that's within the border of the city.
Exactly, and we often say this when we're talking about something that you do not expect to be within a city. Like, for example, here in Taipei, Yangmingshan National Park is within the city limits of Taipei. It's actually inside the city, a national park. And in this particular case, we've got these works of art from Gaudí. They're all within the city limits. They're all inside the area of Barcelona city. Now let's move on here. It says Park Güell shows off his talent for outdoor design, while Casa Milà, though planned as a residence, became a work of art that hosts concerts, art exhibitions, and more. So this park will show off his talent for outdoor design. To show off means a couple of things. It just means may display. It may display something, or it may just simply show it to people. But also to show off means that you want to make other people feel that you're really special by showing them what you own. Like Mark likes to show off his Maserati by driving it around Taipei.
Right, and you can also say that somebody is a show-off, which means that they like to boast, they like to brag about the things that they have or the things that they can do. So show-off or show-off have various meanings in general.
Exactly. So this park here is a splendid example of his talent for designing things for the outdoors. And then we've got Casa Milà. And it was planned as a residence, which is a home for people to live in. It was planned that way originally, but it became a work of art and other people can go in there. It hosts or has concerts. It has art exhibitions and more stuff to check out. So yes, if you go to Park Güell and you check out Casa Milà, then you can expect to see the style of Antoni Gaudí. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's listen now to the second part.
Gaudí's greatest achievement, still unfinished after his death nearly 100 years ago, is the Sagrada Familia, one of the largest Catholic churches in the world. Despite ongoing construction, a museum operates inside, and the designs on the outside of the building are fascinating to see.
Gaudí's greatest achievement, still unfinished after his death nearly 100 years ago, is the Sagrada Familia, one of the largest Catholic churches in the world. So aside from Park Güell and Casa Milà, there is one other structure in Barcelona that is a must-see. It's probably Gaudí's most famous work of art, and that is the Sagrada Familia, which is a Catholic church, and it's one of the largest Catholic churches in the world. So although there may be different types of churches, you might have a Protestant church or a Baptist church, a Catholic church refers to a church that belongs to the Roman Catholic religion. So we're talking about different churches within Christian religion.
Indeed, and I've seen pictures of La Sagrada Familia, and to me it doesn't look that special, but of course I realize that pictures can't really represent what the thing looks like in person. So if I were to go there in person, I would probably think it was pretty darn cool. Again, it's one of the largest Catholic churches in the world, and despite ongoing construction, even though they're actually still building it, A museum operates inside, and the designs on the outside of the building are fascinating to see. So if you're talking about construction, you're talking about the process of building something. It also refers to that area of work. My uncle Bart works in construction. He works on job sites all the time, putting up buildings. So in this particular case, it has ongoing construction. It's still being built, but still you can go check out the museum inside. And then if you look at the designs outside of the building, you're going to find them to be very fascinating.
Right. Something that's fascinating is very interesting or attractive. So even if you can't see all of the Sagrada Familia, you can see that the shape of the building and also the colors are very fascinating, very interesting to look at. So it's worth going to visit La Sagrada Familia.
So those are some examples of the works of Antoni Gaudí. So you can check those out. And now we're going to move on to talk about this hill you can climb up on top of and get a bird's eye view of the city. So let's do it. Let's listen to the third part of our lesson now, one time.
In fact, there's so much to see in Barcelona that you might want a bird's eye view of it all. If so, take a hike up to Montjuïc, a hill that overlooks the city and is home to the stadiums built for the 1992 Olympics. Montjuïc offers a panoramic view of the entire city, so take a deep breath of fresh Mediterranean air as you take in Barcelona's beautiful blend of the ancient and modern.
最后第三部分，我们看到名词 blend。这个单字指的是混合、融合、混合物。举例来说 ，The blend of spices in the soup was the key to its flavor。这道汤里的香料混合正是它风味的关键。再举一个例子 ，The band's music is a blend of classic rock and modern R&B。该乐团的音乐是经典摇滚和现代节奏蓝调的融合。另外，这个字也可以当作动词使用。它有使混合、结合的意思。例如 ，various fruit juices were blended together to make this drink。各种果汁被混合在一起，做成这种饮料。又或者说 ，the movie blends elements of action and comedy。那部电影结合了动作与喜剧元素。
So if you've seen enough of Gaudí's architecture, there are other things you can do in Barcelona, many other things. In fact, there's so much to see in Barcelona that you might want a bird's eye view of it all. So instead of walking around the city and getting a sight of the city from your own point of view, which is the human view, you may want to get a bird's eye view, which means you may want to see things from above, from a high point of view, so that you can look down at the city and see how it's actually shaped, how it's constructed, and how the buildings relate to one another.
Okay, so where do you get that bird's eye view? Well, you can take a hike up to Montjuïc, a hill that overlooks the city and is home to the stadiums built for the 1992 Olympics. So again, you can take a hike up this mountain. Maybe it's not so much a mountain, but more of a hill. A hill is like a small mountain. And this particular hill overlooks the city. To overlook just means you can see over something from a distance and you can see pretty much all there is in the city. Like if you go to Chinese Culture University on Yangmingshan, you have an overlook of the city of Taipei. It's actually quite a nice view. And in Barcelona, of course, if you go up on the top of this hill, you'll get a bird's eye view of the city. And it's also home to the stadiums of the 1992 Olympics. So if something is home to, that just means this is where it is and it's not anywhere else. And as you recall, back in 1992, Barcelona hosted the Olympics. That's when you had the dream team of the NBA. I think that's the first time they played.
Yes, and Montjuïc offers a panoramic view of the entire city, so take a deep breath of fresh Mediterranean air as you take in Barcelona's beautiful blend of the ancient and modern. So we finish our journey to Barcelona at Montjuïc, and this particular hill offers a panoramic view of the entire city. A panoramic view is a view that allows you to see a large area of land or sea that's all around you. So if you go up to Taipei 101 and you go up to the observation deck or the observation floor, you can get a panoramic view of Taipei if there are no clouds and the weather is clear. When you're standing on Montjuic, you can have a panoramic view of Barcelona. So once you're there, take a deep breath of fresh Mediterranean air. Mediterranean here refers to countries that surround the Mediterranean Sea, and that would include Spain and Italy and France, just to name a few. So you would be smelling the Mediterranean air because you are so close to the Mediterranean Sea. And as you smell the air, you should take in Barcelona's beautiful blend of the ancient and modern.
Exactly. So as you know, Barcelona is on the Mediterranean Sea there. It's in eastern Spain. And of course, you'll be able to breathe and smell the air that comes in from the Mediterranean Sea. And there, of course, you're taking in the blend of the ancient and modern. So in this sentence, we've got the phrase to take in. That just means to enjoy something. It could mean other things as well. Maybe you have a house with an extra room and you might take in boarders or people who want to rent the room. You take them in, you let them come in. But in this particular case, it just means you're enjoying the view there. You could also say that, well, what did we do on Saturday? Well, we took in a movie. We went to the movie theater and watched a movie.
Yes, and take in can also have the meaning of to absorb. So I could say, this is too much information to take in. If somebody expects me to read 50 pages and remember all the words, I can't take in all this information. I can't absorb all this information. It's just too much.
And it could also mean to be cheated by somebody. I could say, oh, my uncle was taken in by scammers. They called him and they asked for his account number and the fool gave it to them. So he was taken in by scammers. But in this particular case, it just means to enjoy the view of Barcelona. And you're going to see the beautiful blend of the ancient and the modern. So here we've got the word blend, and it can be both a verb and a noun. Here it's being used as a noun. It just refers to a mixture of things. You've got ancient or old things existing at the same time as modern things. So you get that blend of these different time periods. The word blend is often used when we talk about whiskey. Like if you buy Scotch whiskey, sometimes it's a blend of different kinds of whiskey. Unless you buy a single malt Scotch, then it's not a blend of whiskey.
Right, and in related terms, we also have blenders in the kitchen. That's the machine that you use to mix things, to blend liquids or soft types of food to make certain recipes. So blend is a word that can be used both literally when you want to mix things together and also metaphorically or figuratively when you want to talk about abstract objects.
Exactly. So, of course, we talked about certain things you can check out in Barcelona, but I have a feeling we're only scratching the surface. I think there are probably lots of other surprises in store for travelers besides these things we've talked about. And if you're interested in those things, maybe you should do some research and plan your own trip to go to Barcelona. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's listen now to Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分最后一句写到，贵尔公园展示了他在户外设计方面的天赋，而米拉之家虽然原本是规划作为住宅，则成为举办音乐会和艺术展览会等活动的艺术作品。好，这边有3个重点。第一个重点是文中它用到 show off 来表达展示。那么 show off 当及物用的时候可以表达展示啊，展现，像是 Jay showed off his magic tricks at the party. Jay 在派对上展现他的魔术把戏。好，那另外 show off 也可以当不及物用，这时候表达说炫耀啊，或是卖弄的意思，那就会带有贬义咯。举例来说， Henry is always trying to show off in front of his friends. Henry 总是试着在他朋友面前卖弄炫耀。好，那第二个重点是我们刚刚说到贵尔公园怎么样怎么样， 而米拉之家怎么样怎么样。文中它是使用连接词 while， 那它可以连接两个对比或是相反的情况，表达说 A 怎么样怎么样，而 B 怎么样怎么样。好，那我们造个例句。While Frank likes to travel with his friends, his brother prefers to travel solo. Frank 喜欢跟朋友一起旅行，而他哥哥喜欢独自旅行。好，那我们除了用 while， 也可以用 whereas 来连接两个对比或相反的情况。像 Sarah has straight hair, whereas her sister has curly hair. Sarah 是直发，而她的妹妹是卷发。好，那第三个重点是课文它有写到说 Casamila, though planned as a residence, became a work of art, 好，这边看到其中逗号之间的插入句 though planned as a residence， 它是省略了主词和 be 动词，它本来可以写作 though it was planned as a residence， 那么 it 指称的是它前面的那个 Casamila， 表达说虽然米拉之家原本是规划作为住宅。好，那由于这个副词子句它的主词和主要子句的主词相同，一样都是指那个 Casamila， 所以我们就把重复的主词省略掉了。那动词部分呢，只保留了过去分词 planned，也就是说它把 though it was planned 简化成 though planned， 然后就形成了分词构句的用法。好，那我们也造个例句。Though it is small, the apartment is very cozy. 那间公寓虽然小，但非常温馨舒适。句子里面的 it 就是指 the apartment。由于前后主词相同，那我们就可以把这个副词子句 though it is small， 其中这个重复的主词 it 省略。那动词的部分 is 就要改成现在分词 being 才会形成分词构句。不过 being 还可以再省略。那也就是说 though it is small 可以简化成 though small， 我们的例句就变成 though small, the apartment is very cozy。 好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Architecture. The architecture of the city includes both modern and classical style buildings. Masterpiece. Barbara spent months working on the painting, and when it was finished, it was clearly a masterpiece. Construction. The construction of the new bridge will likely be completed ahead of schedule. Fascinating. With its fascinating plot, the story keeps readers on the edge of their seats. Overlook. Phil stood on the balcony, which overlooked the hotel's swimming pool. Blend. Monica used a perfect blend of flavors in the dish, so it was a big hit at the party.
Discussion starter starts now!
Here's our discussion starter for today. The question is, which of the attractions mentioned in the article would you most like to visit? Why?
Personally, I'd love to visit Montjuic because I've already visited the other landmarks in Barcelona. I have seen La Sagrada Familia, and I have also seen that famous park that was designed by Gaudí, but I have never been up Montjuic, and I would love to get that bird's eye view of Barcelona.
Sounds pretty cool. Yeah, I'd like to go there and check out it indeed. I'd be interested in visiting the various bars in Barcelona because I understand that in Spain they have these kinds of dishes called tapas, little savory dishes that you can have if you go into a bar, and you can enjoy some of the local food that way and enjoy some of the local spirits as well, and hopefully you'll have a chance to rub elbows with the locals.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoy reading along with us. I am Helen.
I am Roger.
See you next time.